Emerald ash borer is a type of beetle that was found up in Michigan in 2002. And since then, it's traveled through 33 different states in less than 20 years now and made its way to Texas. It devastates all ash in its path, unfortunately.
All right. Now, it first showed up in Texas in the northeastern part of the state.
It was probably 2014.
Oh.
It's been confirmed to be in 5 counties in East Texas: Marshall, Harrison, Marion, Cass, and Bowie. And now in our area, the last probably 3 or 4 years, is confirmed in Tarrant, Parker, Denton, and of course now Dallas County, unfortunately. And it may already be in some of the surrounding counties. It can move outwards up to 15 or 20 miles each year.
So how does it damage and kill? How can they be battled? How can we fight them?
Well, the borer itself bores into the vascular system of the tree, travels underneath the bark in different areas, basically cutting off all the elements and nutrients through the tree. So it's a devastating borer, basically devastates the vascular system of the tree to the point that it can't any longer transport elements and nutrients from the roots up to the crown, which ultimately kills the tree.
How prevalent is the ash tree in Texas? I know for me and for a lot of folks, when you think about trees in Texas, you think about oaks, you think about maples, you think about mesquite.
Well, it varies, of course, by the area in the state. There's 8 different species of ash in the state. Out in the forested areas, projections from the Forest Service are it's maybe 1 to 3 or 4%. When you talk about the inner urban areas, it depends on which town you're talking about. It can vary from anywhere from 5 to 10%. So we're not talking about 50%. Now, the Great Trinity Forest is a little different. There's a larger amount of ash in the Trinity Forest.
How do we fight them? What can be done? I mean, do we bring in a box of woodpeckers and set them loose, or?
Well, actually, woodpeckers are one of the few predators that we have, but we don't have enough woodpeckers to really, affect them, unfortunately. And that's one of the problems here is that, first of all, the materials that we have to use to treat for the insects are not available to the homeowner, at least in a strong enough form to really have an effect. So, if you're a property owner, first of all, your first objective is to identify if you have any ash trees on your property. The Texas A&M Trees of Texas website shows folks how to identify them so that they can find out if they have them. And then secondly, they have to decide whether they want to hire a company with Texas Department of Agriculture certification to treat it before they infest their tree. So treatment's not something a homeowner can do, and it's expensive. It can be anywhere from $15 to $20 per diameter inch, and it has to be done every 2 years. So that gets to be very expensive. A 10-inch tree can be $16 to $160 to $200 per tree. And that's every 2 years, so it gets to be very expensive. And it's a fairly potent chemical that we really don't like to treat with. But, we're going to do it on trees that are extremely important to people. The large old trees, we may consider doing it. If you're a property owner and you have 1 ash or 2 or 3 ash, you might want to treat them once, but start planting other tree species nearby, so that eventually when you lose your ash tree, you'll have some other trees to replace them. Well, the ideal thing is diversify our species. A forest's best asset, whether it's an urban or a rural forest, the best asset it can have is diversity in its species.
And again, you mentioned a website people can go to get more information about the emerald ash borer.
Yeah, the best website is probably the Texas Forest Service. Has some great information.